Hello, and welcome to the Educational Fix podcast. I'm Lyle. Today's educational fix is learning songs. So, learning songs are something that have gone back centuries and centuries. Creating some type of song that either teaches or helps students learn something is something that goes back to the oral tradition of telling stories. And it's really, really effective and useful for helping students memorize and utilize information that we want them to learn. Now, generally speaking, learning songs are something that occur in elementary school, although they can be effective in older grades, especially if the students are allowed to take part in crafting what those songs are. So, using a beat or music that reminds them of a popular song of the day and changing the lyrics so that they are related to whatever subject that they're learning about. Especially if it's an advanced subject that requires a lot of very specific knowledge. Perhaps if it's related to trigonometry and you're learning about cosine and tangents and etc. It could be things related to science and you need to remember the specific parts of a cell, and it could even be related to history. So there's just so many different ways you can use learning songs. In the elementary schools, a lot of time they're used to help remember key things about grammar, key things about how the government works, perhaps, or about history. They can also be used to help you with math and learning how to count and count by twos and count by different numbers and understanding and memorizing those math facts. Learning songs are very, very, very useful to your classroom. They're useful a la programs like Schoolhouse Rocks, who sang our way to learning and understanding and memorizing key information that we needed in schools. So I've always been a huge proponent of learning songs, and I hope that everyone is using them in their classrooms on some level, especially if you're in the early grades of elementary. Now, what problems does this learning songs educational fix solve? Learning songs are really, really good in helping students commit to memory those skills that you really want them to learn. Oftentimes, especially when students have a roadblock for learning, roadblocks to memorization, roadblocks to those tasks that are more rote, that they have to just memorize it. There's no real easy way to get them to figure it out. Having a song that the students can sing to help them memorize that is very, very effective. And oftentimes, just the act of having a song in the class, I think the research may support that if you just have a song to memorize one thing, students will create their own to memorize other things. They'll realize how easy it is to memorize information if you put it in some kind of musical format. And so it'll help them remember other things because it's very easy to substitute the words for different songs of, let's say, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You can substitute that with different math facts. You can also substitute that same musical melody and use it with grammar. You can use that same musical melody with science or social studies. There's just endless possibilities. And if you do that with your students, it's going to be very, very helpful in helping them to get past a lot of those roadblocks, especially as we find students with disabilities who have difficulty with short-term memorization. They need a lot of constant rehearsal in order for them to acquire information. But providing them a song, something that they can sing to themselves when they're bored even, can help them memorize that classroom knowledge in a way that is really, really effective and time saving. Now, the question is, how do you implement learning songs? Well, that's something that I would generally do at the beginning of a lesson. At the beginning of the lesson, I might say, hey, we're going to learn a song that's going to help us with this subject. And I would rehearse that song with the students. I would play the song if it's a video so that the students can learn the song. And then by revisiting that song every day for however long that lesson is, they're going to start internalizing it so that when you call upon them, they're going to be able to sing that song on their own. For upper grades, I would spend a little bit of time with this. This might be its own lesson. You might say, today we're going to be making a song that helps us learn blank. So here's the song, or you choose a song. Now we're going to substitute the lyrics and change the lyrics so that it matches exactly what we're trying to learn in the classroom. If it's about poetry and poetic structure, if it's about learning the various types of materials that you interact with science. And then at the end, you'll have a song that they can sing. It's very simple. And then instead of teaching it, you're only going to really have to teach it once. And then after that, you're just going to rehearse it. So you teach it once and then you rehearse it. And the rehearsal is significantly shorter than the actual teaching. So I would really, really suggest that you do this, especially if there's an area that your students just can't remember how to do. They just can't remember how to do it. It's super rote. There's nothing interesting or clever about how to get students to memorize specific facts. A lot of times in history, that's the case where there's just dates and things happen during those dates or on those dates, and you just have to get students to memorize them. A song is a good way to do that, especially if you're seeing students struggle with that memorization piece. So I hope that you utilize learning songs in your classroom today. Thanks for joining the Educational Fix podcast. I hope that you use this fix today in your classroom. If you're interested, please check out my books for Thriving Special Education. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you soon.